Welcome! Today I'm going to show you how to take a boring and flat, underexposed looking picture and how to turn it into an interesting, colorful and really dynamic photo in just about 5 minutes using Lightroom. So first thing you want to fix is the exposure, and it's definitely underexposed. I'm not really going to pay too much attention to the sky because I always can fix that later very easily. I am also going to bring down the highlights by quite a bit and also bring up the shadows by quite a bit. Really a great method to get a lot of detail in both highlights and shadows to work with. Then I would suggest you to adjust the black slider and either go up or down. I usually like to bring it down just a little bit for some extra contrast. And speaking of contrast, I'm also going to bring the contrast slider to the right just to really give the picture a pop and really make everything more interesting. So once I've done that, I'm going to bring the white slider to the right while holding down the Alt key, and I just want to stop before anything clips, and that way you really get a lot of dynamic and you get a lot of interest in your picture. So here is before and here is after. In terms of clarity, you can either go plus, but also don't be afraid to go minus clarity. For example, in this particular photo, I think going minus clarity works really well compared to going into the plus or even just leaving it at 0. I think it works a lot better for the mood, especially in sunset, sunrise pictures, or general pictures with a very soft lighting. Going into the minus clarity can help quite a lot of the times. Then in terms of vibrance, if you should draw, you're gonna end up with a relatively flat picture. So it's always a good idea to just increase a little bit of that vibrance to give a little bit more life and, enhance the colors in your picture. Generally, I like vibrance more than saturation because it adds color more subtle. And then color temperature is, of course, another very important thing. A little trick I use is if you have orange and blues in your picture. In this case, we have all of this algae is really a big part, and it really makes everything look orange down here. And of course, we have the blue sky. So I would not suggest you to go in either way that you really lose any blues or oranges. I would just suggest you to go to whatever value, of course, looks good, but you still remain some of the oranges, yet you have some of the blues. So I think I am done with the basics adjustments. Let me go straight away down to the split toning. And split toning is not a thing that you have to use in every single picture, but especially in sunset, sunrise pictures, or a picture like this, which is just kind of colorful. It can oftentimes have a very big impact. So let me grab here some color in the highlights and just kind of go through all of the different looks and saturations. I think I might even go into purple red tones here instead of the orange tones, because that gives even more differentiation in terms of color, and then just of course dial down the saturation to not make it look unnatural. So here would be before any split toning, here's after. You see it's just a little bit more colorful. We're not gonna have too much time for any other global adjustments except for maybe the tonal curve, because I really want to keep this video at around 5 minutes. So in the tonal curve, I usually like to bring up the highlights just a little bit, gives even more dynamic to the picture, and really just play around with these other sliders and stick with whatever looks best. So now I really think I'm done with the global adjustments. If you see here before to after, it's already a pretty big difference, but I'm definitely not done yet. In terms of cropping here, I think I'm gonna crop the picture. It's just a little bit too much foreground, and I really don't mind this very big sky actually. So I think that works even better. Let's see, in terms of local adjustments, I definitely think I'm gonna have to grab a graduated filter here for the sky, and just want to make sure that you have a very soft edge so all of the adjustments look very organic. And then I'm just gonna go slightly down in the exposure, add some contrast, and maybe even bring down the clarity. If you, for example, would have a very stormy sky with a lot of dramatic clouds, then you of course can go into plus clarity, but for this soft picture I really think going into the minus clarity just a bit works pretty well. So then I'm gonna grab another graduated filter and just bring it over the very bottom of this photo and go down in the exposure, and that way you really get some sort of vignetting and you really manage to close out the picture. So here would be before any graduated filters, and here's after. It really just fixes the exposure in the sky and adds a little bit more dynamic in the bottom. And then I'm gonna grab another graduated filter and just drag it over the very top portion of the sky, and I am going to add a little bit of tint and also go into the color and add even more different color here. Now this is an absolutely great method to create more interest and add more different colors in your picture. So here would be before that one and here is after. If you would have even more time, you could go and grab even another filter and go more into the blues, for example, and you know, there are a lot of different things you can do. Then actually at last, two graduated filters, I'm gonna drag one over the left portion right here and just go a little bit into the negative exposure, and grab another one and drag it over pretty much the parallel of the previous one, and this time go into the plus exposure and maybe even add some warm colors here as well. And by making the part where the light is coming from a little bit brighter and the part where the light is not coming from a little bit darker, you know, in parallel, you really can create a lot of additional depth. So here is before any graduated filters, here is after, and I'm gonna continue with dodge and burning. Dodge and burning is just making individual portions of the picture darker or brighter, and I really love this adjustment. I'm just gonna go into the plus exposure in this particular case, and you can also add a little bit of warmth or some different color here to really make everything look a little bit more organic. So then you just kind of want to look where is some additional interest in terms of exposure needed, and I'm just gonna add some filters here. First of all, some relatively big ones, maybe one on this hill right here, and make this golden glow, you know, exaggerate that a bit more, and then just add some smaller ones, maybe go even further into the plus exposure and just add some more interest in some of the boring parts and really just exaggerate the whole lighting scheme. So I think I'm pretty much done here. I'm well aware that this right portion of the sky is way brighter than the left, but I really don't mind it because it adds additional interest and additional dynamic. So let's go here into the history and see where we started at. And the original picture is definitely a lot darker, a lot more boring compared to the after. I mean, it's really amazing what you can do in just about 5 or maybe a few more minutes. You know, you really can take a boring looking picture and turn it into an amazing and very dynamic, colorful and super interesting picture. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already for more videos just like this one, a little bit longer landscape and Lightroom tutorials as well. And let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see me do more bad picture into good picture edits rather than, you know, already taken pretty good exposed photos and just editing them. Anyways, take care, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.